Are you trying to get your shift together?
Welcome to the Shift Sisters podcast, where real conversations inspire real transformations. We're not experts, but we're experiencers. I'm Sandra.
And I'm Jennifer Richter.
We're your Shift Sisters.
Whether you're shifting like a sloth or it looks like you're having an exorcism, this is your space to breathe, reflect, and remember. We're here to talk shift with you. Welcome back, Shifties. I'm your host, Jennifer, and my co-host, Sandra. Today, we are going to be hosting a new grounded guy for you. Josue is going to give us so much information about love. I don't know if you know that, Josue. That's what you're going to talk about today.
Awesome.
So welcome to the Shift Sisters podcast. In this episode today, we're talking about one of the most transformative shifts of all, and that is self-love. And the reason I chose Josue for this topic is because when we first met and he was speaking with me and my husband just about the different ways he's grown spiritually and personally in his life, and he was refreshed to meet some other people that were kind of in that same path, he expressed that he had to overcome a lot in the self-love department and in that forgiveness and growth, because you can't grow, right, without loving and nurturing something. It's like trying to grow a plant. If you're out there, speaking hateful things to it or giving it junk food or things like that, it is not going to grow and produce the same thing. And Josue was really relaying that to me, that was kind of some of his experience. And so we want to hear today from him who he is, what his vision of self-love is. And I lovingly call him the meditating mechanic.
Love that.
Josue, tell everybody just a little bit about yourself and why you are the meditating mechanic.
Well, I developed a passion for fixing cars around 14. And that's quite interesting because around that time, I was watching a show where they did a lot of customizations. Maybe you've heard or seen the show West Coast Customs or Pimp My Ride.
I was going to say Pimp My Ride is the one I know, yeah.
Yeah, so I loved that show, and I just loved and I admired like the team that was built around turning something that's not so, appealing to something that's what somebody wanted out of that, and it was really cool to watch that and see that. I was like, wow, I'd love to do something like that one day, be creative in that area of making something better or, improving it. And so, yeah, I followed the path of working with my hands and becoming an automotive technician for 17 years. I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit in me. So I was always doing work on the side for friends and family. Like prior to that, I was always doing something like fixing computers, selling ringtones. Like I was just always providing some level of service to, it brought fulfillment and made people happy. It made me happy. And so it always just stuck with me. But I had never gotten over that leap of faith of leaving a secure job and a paycheck to go start my own business. Like, so that was always like a thing I battled with myself inside. Like I wanted to do it, but I didn't. And it's because of my family. I had kids, my wife that I was supporting, and I just couldn't, at least I thought I couldn't make that jump. And then, yeah, eventually, like fast forward into the future, I finally reached the end of my career. I like maxed out like what a technician could earn.
Yeah.
And I was basically working or running my own business within a business because I was so efficient, and it just made sense to me. Like now it's time to like leave. But during that period, like that can be scary when you make a life decision like that, especially when you just bought a house and you have like all these expenses, and it's kind of, I just jumped because something inside of me was like screaming at me for years to do it, and I was trying to just pushing it to the side. But I finally did that. And during that period, I really recognized that I had to work on some things because I was having anxiety attacks. Like I started my business and then going to people's homes, like speaking to them, talking to them. And it was just a whole like learning phase of my life. And a lot of things started coming up to the surface, like a lot of unhealed things that I've unconsciously pushed aside. And things were popping up with relationships as well, my family. And it was just building a business and also working on myself simultaneously for the past, I would say 4 to 5 years now. But yeah, it's been great.
Was one of the things that was popping up anything in connection to like that self-worth and self-love and acceptance?
Yes, because there were a lot of things that I ignored from when I was like younger, and it made
Mhm.
me feel um so like just to give you some context on that, when I was like in first grade, wasn't really doing well in school, paying attention. It wasn't that I couldn't pay attention. It was like I was bored and
Mhm.
it didn't resonate with me. So, I got punished a lot because of that. I
Mhm.
got sent to the back of the class, like my whole desk moved, even sometimes outside of the classroom. And so like I started believing that I was this bad child. I wasn't smart. I couldn't pay attention like the rest of the other kids. So that became part of my identity. And that carried with me till like I was 30. And yeah, so some of the things were coming up were like, like, can I do this? Am I smart enough to do this? And yeah, I've like, I guess for a long time, I really never paid attention to my self-worth and things like that. Yeah. And I don't know if that answered the question, but
Yeah. And so when you started to, it sounds like during this time when you were going through a shift, following the nudge, following the calling of, I need to step out on my own.
Mhm.
And as we talked about in some of our previous episodes with some of our other grounded guys tend to hold a lot silently, right? Because they don't always have this same support group of naturally of just guys that talk about things like that. Like women, it's easy to be vulnerable and off the cuff about, some of the things that they're worrying about. And as Patrick and Adam had expressed that, they do carry things silently. But you listen to this nudge and this shift, and you clearly in some way, shape, or form, even in a small way, believed in yourself, which
Right.
was what helped you to get through this. So, when you're doing this and all this self love or lack thereof, right? Self belief might come up. Like, what types of things did you do to face it or to explore it, to see what it was and to get through that?
To face it and to explore it. Well, it got so loud that I couldn't ignore it anymore
Mhm.
because, and also like it would come up and I wouldn't know how to explain it. Like, I mean, I'm okay to share this. Like when I came home from like being in an environment that I wasn't completely happy being in, like my job
Mhm.
position, I would just unload on my family, like verbally, not physically ever, but I would point out all the things that were not done and da 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 da. And I was like, and then I came home to a happy family, happy to see me, and then I just completely switched the energy
Mhm.
because I didn't know, like I had no control over that. And it was sad because like I would go upstairs, obviously get freshened up, and then I would sit there with myself and like, why did I just open my mouth? Like and do that? Like I didn't know why. And it just kept occurring over and over and over. Like, and at the time I didn't have meditation. At the time, I didn't know anything about spirituality. I didn't follow any religion. I was just pure physical life, like pushing through, working harder and providing for my family because that's all I knew. And then it got so loud that I broke down one day. Like I had a actual, like we call it an emotional impact. It impacted me so much that it caused a shift in my energy that I broke down. I cried. And that was the first time I ever like cried out to God, the universe. And I asked for help. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need some guidance. Please help me. Like, I want to be better and I don't want to be like this anymore. I remember saying that I don't want to be like this anymore. And like, very interesting, like enough the next day, a Tony Robbins event came in my news feed and I was like, what's this? And I watched it and it was a free event and I signed up because it resonated with me. And I wind up eventually taking Unleash the Power Within after that free program. And that's what opened me up to this whole world of like improving yourself and seeing all these other people have gone through similar, not exactly similar, but like a lot of struggles and, make it out in the end. So it was very encouraging at the time. And that's what kind of like really opened everything up. And and really pulled me in a new direction, because I hadn't been looking for that. I had just been focused on working harder, doing better at my job, and just that. But I'd never thought about working on myself. Jim Rohn used to always say that in my ear. Like I'd hear it over and over. Like, you got to work harder on yourself than you do your job. And after hearing something so many times, it really gets you to think. But that's just where my mind was at. I was never really looking for change until I absolutely had to, because I got so upset with myself. They call it being sick and tired of being sick and tired. I reached that point. And that's when everything really shifted. And it wasn't an easy, overnight shift. It was like gradual, but it's always like puppy.
Mhm.
But I can say, like, if you definitely stick through it and keep the purpose why you're doing it. My family was my purpose. I wanted to change for my family.
Mhm.
I didn't know how to until all the things started showing up, because I was seeking it. And that's when things really started shifting. And so I've been on that journey ever since then. That
That's
point.
awesome. Well, thank you for taking us on that, overall journey of your shift. And I have a follow-up question, because you mentioned putting yourself first and taking care of yourself and all of that. And I think we hear that a lot. People say, put yourself first or take care of yourself, and self-love. But what does that mean? Right? It's thinking about what are some actionable items, because there may be some other grounded guys out there, or other guys listening in and saying, yes, I feel that nudge. I feel that spark, that whisper, and I don't know what to do. I don't know, other than being a provider, or just any person, right, who's in that space of potentially being on a shift. What does it mean to put yourself first, to take care of yourself, or to really look within? Is there any actionable items that someone can do and when they're in that space?
What does it mean to put yourself forward or first? Yeah, well, I mean, just off of that, something that came to mind right away was that you can lead by example. Like, for me, I wasn't leading well. I was being a reactive dad. I was being a reactive husband, and my kids were seeing that. They were growing up seeing that. And I wasn't aware of that until I zoomed out of my situation, until I actually assessed it. So I think awareness, and really like journaling too. Like, around that time, like, I had just started to journal. And I think that's where the awareness shift started happening, because I kept writing down the same thing. Like, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? And yeah, it's just, I guess it starts to shift your mind to seek out a better thing. But I think when you're in a better position, like when you can help yourself, then you really alleviate a lot of things around you. Because I was the issue. I thought the issue was outside of me. But once I corrected that, everything else started to get better. And I think those are the action steps. I think is
Yeah.
increase your awareness, and yeah, check
Yeah,
it
like with
out.
any change in your life, right? Like if you want to get healthier, if you want to, sleep better, or lose weight, whatever it is, there's always those first steps. And sometimes, the thought is there and the idea is there, and it's like, what do I do? And such an overwhelming piece, because it seems like you were working through some of the trauma that you experienced as a first grader, and that message that you had throughout your life. And now it's, how do you unravel that? And then you're doing it alone. It's not like, in your story, you were sharing that you went out and you saw a therapist, or you had other supports. It seems like you had the
Yeah.
self-awareness of this, something is off, and you wanted to make those changes. But as a layperson, I'm a layperson too. I don't know what changes to make, if I want to make some major changes around some of the heavy things that happened, or some of the heaviness that you're feeling. So
Well, I
Yeah.
have to say this, if anybody pays attention to patterns like I do, if our shifties at this point haven't seen the pattern, not only within us, but within all of the grounded guys, everything we do here is about inspiring self awareness and
Mhm.
self reflection. And we offer shift activations with every single episode that speaks to the soul to help you really shift. And it's paired with journaling. And I can say Adam has said it multiple times. When he was going through some struggles, he had to get a journal and he had to start writing things down, just like you when you were like,
Yeah.
why am I doing this? Or I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be like this. He would be writing these lost comments, right? You feel lost, so you have to write them and get them out somewhere. And it is genuinely the beginning of anyone's self reflection. And so I have to say, if we're asking for an action item, I encourage anybody, I don't care if it's typing it in a notepad on your phone or physically writing it, talking to yourself or just getting it out that way is an amazing first step because like Josue was able to acknowledge, I don't like who I am
Mhm.
at this point, and I desperately want help. And he's also communicating to the universe, send me help,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then here comes Tony Robbins. So I love that. Well, has your definition of self-love changed over the years?
Hmm. Um, yeah. How could you clarify or say that in a different
Yeah,
way?
so like loving yourself and taking care of yourself and how you value yourself, right? You're no longer this first grader who's naughty that needs to be put outside. I mean, you still might be naughty. I don't know about that. But then you get put outside the classroom and then you start to believe those things with yourself. Like, why am I being separated? Why I must be bad or I must be stupid. Like, so that, starts to paint a picture of not loving yourself because you don't feel worthy. So, how has that view of yourself changed over the years?
It's changed dramatically because, I kind of learned to forgive those parts of me that didn't know. I wasn't aware. I did the best with my level of awareness that I had at that moment.
Mhm.
And so why am I going to be angry or upset of the mistakes I made? Because that's the weight right there is
Mhm.
a lot of the mistakes that we've made. And a lot of them are unconscious. Some of them we do consciously, but some we also do unconsciously. And
Yeah.
it's like happens automatically. And then we get mad at ourselves. And then, yeah, it's just not good. And so like a lot of self-love comes from healing those parts of us. And I can show up better for my children. I'm definitely more understanding with them and I'm not recreating the same thing that I've experienced. And it just goes up the line. Like if nobody does the shift, it just gets passed on or absorbed. And I think when you can show up for yourself and heal those wounds, yeah, you can change the trajectory of your family tree, like with a lot of things.
For
Breaking the
sure.
cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. And just piggybacking off of that question, have you seen a shift of your family in relation to you? Because obviously they've experienced the dad in a different light, and now that you're doing the work and have you seen behavioral changes in them or relational changes with you based on this shift?
Yes, absolutely. So I have younger children and then my wife and my older daughter. So with the younger ones, they kind of actually, well, we talked a lot more through that. Like it was a lot of conversations I had to have with them, like daddy wasn't thinking as well as he could have been when I was doing these things in the past. But I'm changing that. And so like they were kind of with me on that journey
Mm,
and got to see the shift and also grow to an awareness because now they know about energy, they know about frequencies and vibration and like what you put out comes back. So like they're in tune with that and they know not to cause things that they don't want to happen for themselves. So they're very like emotionally intelligent in that area as far as like the giving and receiving and you know attraction and stuff. But it was a challenge though with my older daughter and my wife because a lot of the times they've got most of the old me, and when you're changing it doesn't happen right away. So sometimes you're changing, you're putting all this effort in and changing, but then sometimes something comes up and then it kind of causes a situation like, yeah, you didn't change, you're still the same. And I got a lot of that. And that's hard when you're actually trying to change
Mhm.
because like you didn't mean to do that, you slipped up.
mm,
But it was a lot of like me having to like hug myself, like really tell myself like, I'm doing all right. That's that self-love part again too, like being in those moments because that person's angry but you
mm,
got to respect them because yeah, it's, I don't want to add to that. And it's
Yeah.
just a thing. But, yeah. But then over time, like if you keep on going with it, showing yourself grace and keep putting in the work, Eventually you will get out of that, and then the relationship will heal. There were a lot of things I did in between all of that, like all the tools that I have. Like one of them I'd share, I'd envision us like in a ball of pink light. And so, when we fought or had some arguments or disagreements, I would imagine us when we're laying down together at night, and that would be in the ball of loving energy. And then I think a lot of that really shift energetically as far as like both our energies, and it kind of harmonized us. So like, yeah, it's just interesting how, yeah.
Well, let's talk about the bridge that you took from all of this new self awareness and acknowledgement to getting to where you start envisioning about this pink light and things like that. Because,
Mm.
that's not something typical that a guy would say, oh, I don't want to be this person anymore. And now I'm, envisioning pink light. Like they might think that, you fell and hit your head. So,
Yeah.
so, there's a lot of power in what you're doing.
Yeah.
But like if you had to walk someone through the steps of how you got there, how did you get to that energetic awareness?
Yeah. So like I was saying earlier, where I only knew the physical, there were parts of me that I didn't explore, or maybe I knew about, but didn't really know about. And
Mm-hmm.
that was like my spiritual side of myself, bless you,
Thank you.
the intellectual side of myself. And so that spiritual side of myself really I didn't start tapping into that until I started learning about my mind, the intellectual part. And that's where all the Proctor Gallagher work, Bob Proctor from The Secret, he became one of my mentors, because it's funny how all the mentors like led me to the current mentors that are mentoring me now. Well, they're not on the physical plane, they passed on, but I still study their work and I believe that they live through the teachings. And so, yeah, just piggyback off of that. Tony Robbins talked a lot about Napoleon Hill, and Napoleon Hill, Bob Proctor studied like his entire life. And so there was this a lot of awareness around the mind and who they are on a deeper level. So I started studying him like a scientist, because like in automotive, to learn cars, we really got to know the systems in order to fix them, in order to know how
Mm-hmm.
to diagnose them. And I had realized I came to a point in my life where I had a problem that I didn't even know how to fix. Like I didn't have a solution. There wasn't a manual that can tell me, like, and I wasn't for actually going to somebody to help me. I wanted to at least try myself first. And
Mm-hmm.
if I hit a block, like where I couldn't absolutely do it, then I'd go seek help. But, I did find the help, but I think I got off track. So going back to the question, how did I get to the energetic awareness? It was Bob Proctor that would talk about, we're spiritual beings. We have an intellect and we live in a physical body. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I kind of get that. But what's that spiritual side of myself? And so like I had to go finding that out. And Tony Robbins' event, there was this gentleman named Master Stephen Coe. He's one of 8 master pranic healers in the world. And he teams up with Tony Robbins. And that's how the first time I ever got introduced to, this was back then, into meditation and energy. Like prior to that event, I'd never meditated. I never knew about energy or knew what it was. I just knew energy like a car battery and electric circuits and stuff. I had that understanding, but this was new to me. And I remember him doing it was over Zoom, by the way, too. It was around COVID. It was the first Unleash the Power Within online. So I did it from home, which was convenient. I didn't have to go fly somewhere and go to hotels and all that. Master Code came on and he did this little example of like sensitizing our hands and feeling, and so that we can feel energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did like this thing over the Zoom, and I felt it in my hand. Like I felt like the little twirly motion that he was doing. So I was like, that's interesting. Like, I don't know what that was just now, but I'm going to bookmark that. And so I began following him after that event for about a year and a half online, because he goes online, does lectures and then a meditation. So
Okay.
that meditation and learning through his lectures helped me out a lot too in my journey. But that's where I started learning a lot about like the soul aspect of myself, that there's energy centers, and these energy centers affect everything, like our physical body, the psychology, like our mental state and stuff. And so I was like, that's really important. But then I took a deep dive with Bob.
Mm-hmm.
And then in order to really, I wanted to understand what he knew, but he didn't teach the energetic sides. He taught it more practically from the laws of the universe side, and, touched very lightly on the energy. So that's where I decided to invest my time into the other pranic healing, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically like a school, like A to Z. You kind of get your entry level to energy centers and their functions and how to clear up blockages and heal. And so I was like, that's beneficial to know. And so I went down that path of taking all the classes they had to offer, and I just learned so much in there. And I also offered up my self for serving. Like twice a week, we got together as a big group, and
Mm-hmm.
for 1 hour, we would do healings for somebody that needed
Mm-hmm.
healings. They may had some major surgery or something, and they needed like just a speedier recovery.
Yep.
But yeah, that's where all that really came from. And yeah, it's just really helpful in personal development because you learn all the different aspects of yourself, like the complete human element, not just the body and the mind, but also the energy that flows through all of that. So
Well, I think Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within was very effective. It is what it says, right? Because it opened one door for you after another, and you found things that were the technical training and then the spiritual, energetic training, and you gobbled it up
mhm.
because you're that hands-on DIY kind of guy. And I feel like it was a great alignment and would be an excellent path for a lot of people. I don't know if you know this, but once a year at the beginning of the year, every year, Tony Robbins does his huge event online and it's free
Yeah.
for everyone. So if anybody is like, what is this? What is he talking about? Um, Go in and look it up. I don't know if they're advertising it already, but it will always be in the
Mhm.
new year. They offer
Good.
this free program. So doesn't cost a lot to get your shit together.
That's right. And I love how you keep using the mechanic eye in all of it. You talked about your
Mhm.
energy being your battery, and at the beginning you were describing how, you're working with your hands and building something, into something better is the kind of objective that or the thing that's drawn you to being a mechanic. And now that's something you're implementing in your own life. So it's just, I'm just wanted to highlight that analogy. I think it's a great one.
Yeah, I know he hasn't caught on to it yet, but I just love calling him the meditating mechanic, and I'm like, you gotta coin it, buy the URL, start giving us videos of how meditation connects with mechanics because I think not
Mhm.
that I'm pushing you, but I'm pushing you
I like it.
because I think that there are so many men that cannot relate to spiritual things or meditation, and there's just a disconnect, and they see it as feminine or woo woo, and they don't understand how it can help them. And I really think you have a special gift with your knowledge of both things.
Mhm.
And I am going to keep pushing you and encouraging you to
Appreciate
do videos and translate it through mechanic speak because I think you could really reach a lot of men that need this support and confidence and self-love and spiritual side to themselves. So
it. Mhm.
so
Yeah,
it's public that I'm
that's a
pushing
great idea.
the
Yeah,
meditating mechanic.
I like that.
So looking back on your life, right, and everything, what's one positive thing that, or I guess, what's the biggest positive that you have seen from making this self-love shift? I know that, you said your relationships have changed in your home, but like, is there something that's just huge that's changed?
Huge would be the biggest thing that I think about most often now is the happy home, because
Mm,
before it could be rocky. You never know what day you're walking into. But because my energy has changed, it impacts all the energy all around. I've just neutralized so much lower frequencies, as in like anger and
Mm,
rage, like the stuff that was just in me for so long. But yeah, I've noticed it with my children, everybody, the dogs, like everybody's just happier. And that's the biggest shift. And that's like the number one thing on my gratitude every day is
mm,
that grateful for a happy home, because that it like, and everything else could be falling apart outside, like
yeah.
business or whatever, but this is important, like family. And yeah.
Oh, and usually when that happens, you see doors opening and opportunities coming in because there's this, openness to the world too, because that those low frequency energies are
Mm.
closing you off and keeping you isolated or pushing people away, really, because you're not welcoming that in or welcoming other energies in. So, have you seen any like doors opening for yourself or any opportunities in this shift for you?
I got chills. Yeah. I mean, the communities that I'm part of, and I've attracted all like-minded individuals. Like it's
Mhm.
huge. With my Proctor Gallagher colleagues, I mean, I was just in Scotland with them a few weeks ago. 70 of us, and from 20 different countries.
Well,
Like to be in a room with all of them and Bob Proctor's like co-business partner, Sandy Gallagher, like that's huge. Like I was just a few years ago working at a dealer, and now I'm here with these great coaches from all over the world, and I'm on my way there. But it's nice. Like it put me in rooms that I never thought I'd be. I was in Master Co's class twice, the one that from Tony Robbins.
mhm.
I made my way up to get in it, because you can't just jump to one of his classes. You have to do like prerequisites, and the closest place you can go is like Chicago, because he's mostly covers the whole West Coast. But anyway, yeah, like that's what I've noticed a lot. Like since my frequencies changed, I've been attracting a lot of like people, entrepreneurs, like business owners, people that are really into personal development, and yeah, personal development. Yeah. So a lot of that.
Is there any advice that you would give to any men that are struggling to develop that self acceptance and might see self love as like a soft and not masculine thing?
Yeah. I felt that too at one point where like that was a place that you just don't go, or like it's, I don't know. And I've noticed that like a lot of, we have this paradigm or this big belief around that, like we have to be strong, we have to be tough, and so we just eat it up and like think it goes away, but it doesn't. It like stays within us,
Mm.
and until it's ready to express itself. It's an energy, and that's where learning about your energy is so important, because what you don't know can really hurt you,
Yes.
and the more you become aware, the more you can clear that up, so that, well, you can live longer, experience more out of life, and live more happier. And I guess what I could tell them, or share, I mean, like, I guess it's just a really like self-reflection thing. Like, have you tried anything different? Like, have you been just doing the same things over and over? Cause like, it wasn't until I started analyzing like my numbers, like in my job, or like that I was producing, or things that I was doing consistently, like analyzing my stuff, that I started noticing there was a pattern, and I wasn't changing it. I wasn't trying anything new. And so I
Hmm.
started introducing new things into my life. And I think that that could be the start. I mean, there's tons of YouTube resources on there online for like motivation, inspiration. You just start somewhere. Start like surrounding yourself with something that could help you improve a certain area of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That self-reflection piece is so important, right? Because you had your specific needs that you were trying to address or your specific areas that were impacting your life and your family. And
Hmm.
for someone else, it could be, they're working through anger. Maybe there's, other things. So having that
Yeah.
piece of pause and identification and, as Jennifer said, as you said, Josue, and it's one of my things that I just love is the journaling piece. Like it's so powerful because it's like this secret sacred conversation you're having with yourself and no one else, and it's in a place that is for you, and no one's going
Hmm.
to turn this in or share in front of the class. So it's important to know that this is a resource that is incredibly powerful, and it could help you just in that next step, and that putting something from the inside, from your thought to actually writing it down makes neural pathways. It changes the energy of it because now you actually did something else with it as opposed to just let it kind of stay in that space. So uh,
Hmm.
I cannot encourage more than the journaling and getting it out of your body.
Well, additional to journaling, let's talk about some of the other daily practices that you do to keep this healthy mindset and stay grounded and connected even during the tough times.
Yeah. practices that I do are, well, yeah, the journaling, the daily gratitude. Like, so I have like a little gratitude pad. It has like 10 lines, and I just write down what I'm feeling that day, as far as like, it could be like a great cup of coffee, or, you know, everything. My teachers, my awareness. Like, so I start that day. Um, and then definitely the meditation part of it, just really shutting off some of your senses so that you can just be still with yourself. Because a lot of the times when our mind is so chaotic with so many thoughts, like, we can't think straight, we can't operate. So like when we practice stillness, we're actually exercising self-discipline to kind of like redirect our focus to like
Mhm.
just our breath, or maybe just to, at least we shut off our senses. Like if we close our eyes, and then that's one less thing of things coming in.
Mhm.
But it can also help, like it could be a tool to analyze, to like, what are you predominantly thinking about a lot? Because like when you're quiet sitting there by yourself, you might be thinking about the bills or something you got coming up, or, and then that's a great opportunity to journal that, to get that out and, analyze that.
Yeah, explore it. When you say meditation, I don't know if you feel it, but I definitely see this like samurai energy coming up as almost like this calm strength where you're harnessing this warrior energy. I mean, and it's silent, but it's deadly. And I don't know if you feel that way about it or if other men that meditate do it, but I just see this masculine, calm, silent energy that is like so on top of their game that they can't be shaken. So it's working for you because I even see the confidence grow within you from when I met you.
Oh
For
yeah.
I've seen the growth there. I don't know if you do it, and if you do, tell us all about it. But you've done morning meditations with Adam before virtually. You guys would get up early. I don't know, it
Right.
was like 6 a.m. and you guys would meet virtually and do a meditation. Is that something that you do for other people? Or tell us about that.
Yeah. So I was just doing that a couple times. I haven't yet like formed an exact time or day, or,
Mhm.
but I have been doing it here and there, because like I do it all the time with myself, but I would love, like, it's also great to do it with other
Yeah.
people. But no, yeah, I can do it with other people. I'm actually working on that soon, to where I'll do it in person as well as online, so they can kind of be there together and we can
Okay.
kind of learn and grow together. But yeah, nothing right now this second.
But
So
you Oh, go ahead.
tell
Sorry.
me, meditating in community. I want to explore that a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the like what, in your opinion, when you meditate on your own, when you meditate with Adam or any other folks that you do it with, what's the difference?
I feel like it depends on what kind of meditation. I'm only really familiar with a meditation called Meditation on Twin Hearts.
Mhm.
So a lot of the time, that's like a self-healing meditation as well, because it's a meditation where we're channeling energy to bless the earth, to just send blessings to the earth.
Yes. Yes.
So as that's happening, it's actually cleaning us from the inside out, because it's pulling so much energy that's channeling to the earth. So it's like giving and receiving type of thing, world service. And so when we do that meditation in a group, the energy is magnified, and it's just a deeper meditation and healing going on. Yeah, because we're all there. We all want to serve. We want to see the world be a better place. And when we're in that vibration, that gets amplified. And then, it starts getting etched in us as just a natural way of being. So the more and more we do it, the more and more we have more compassion for and empathy for people. Um, so yeah, it's just like it's a group effort. It's similar to, I don't know if you've heard of the term masterminding.
Mhm.
Uh,
Hmm.
but that's like, you can say it's like, yeah, like a meeting,
Yeah.
like a meeting to come up with solutions
Kinda
and
like,
stuff.
yeah, a mastermind group.
Yeah.
I done a group meditation, and it just feels like you're so interconnected. And
Mm.
we did it's similar to what you just mentioned, but Pachamama, Mother Earth, essentially recycling your energy, that negative energy, into the earth and having that come back to you was incredibly powerful. And when you do it in community, you don't know, for me, this is my experience. You don't know where your energy begins and theirs ends because you're just so interconnected. And the force that comes from that is so powerful. And you almost melt away your own worries because nothing matters really. You're just in that space of energetic exchange. And, you're this one entity in being. So I wanted you to share from your perspective because I think it's important for people to really know the types of meditation that it can look like, right? The being on your own and being very quiet. And Jennifer mentioned warrior energy. And for others, it's that collective piece, the power in that. Or for me, it's more fluid. I don't feel, I feel very fluid. I feel very, uh, just very, I go with whatever the energetic flow is kind of, and it's a little, I feel like water, and it's just different. And to hear Mel's perspective on your experience with meditation, I think also helps to debunk some of the, well, I can't just sit still and shut off my mind for, 10 minutes. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
When you do your meditation like this, how long is it?
There's different ones. There's like a 10-minute, a 20-minute, and then like a 35-minute. And some of them, yeah. So those are pretty much
Okay.
the ones. And to just add to what you were saying, Sandra, about the, like that been a common thing when I would invite people to meditate. They just said they can't meditate. I was there at that point too, so I understand where they're coming from. Like, yeah, it can be really noisy at first and really hard, like to focus, but it's kind of like a gradual thing. Like you build yourself up to actually be able to tune out
Yeah.
a lot of things, and that's a process. But like you just have to start, and it can be uncomfortable because like the phone could be ringing or your dog might be barking when you're trying to like be still. And, these things tend to come up when you try something new like that. But if you just keep persisting, you'll eventually build up a tolerance to where you can actually still the mind. And this is very helpful in business and personal life. Like when things are going chaotic, you don't have to be in that chaotic state either. You can actually, okay, I'm in this control position and I can see what I can do to, rather than being engulfed in it. But I like just some tips on like, helping with that. If it does get loud and you're starting out to meditate, you can just practice focusing on the breath, like the air coming in and out of your nose. Cause now you're putting your attention there. And usually when you put your attention somewhere, other things can't get that attention. I mean, it could still be there. It could still be a little noisy, but you just bring it right back to the nose, maybe the tip of the nose, the air coming through the nose. That's been one of my big, like tools that I use, or in the beginning. Like now I can really just tune things out. Uh, yeah. I had the belief that I could do it all, but I had to actually say no to a couple of things, back out a couple of things so that I could maintain this energy to pursue and not leak out all my energy to so many different areas.
Is there any final words that you can leave us with, Josue?
Topic of forgiveness around the self-love, but maybe I could just leave you with something from my personal experience around forgiveness.
Yes, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So that I guess in the whole thing of journaling and really looking at our life, if we want to improve it, we need to see where a lot of the weight is, and sometimes it's in forgiving, and that could be forgiving someone else, that could be forgiving ourselves. But most of the time, it's an inside game. From what I've learned, it's forgiveness inside, because what's going on outside is just a mirror of what's going on inside. So when we start to really look at ourselves, we can, really start to shift things. And if, like, let's say we had somebody that done something to us in the past, like I've had that, and that weighed on me for years, like 10, 15 plus years. And that's stuff that you're thinking about over and over. It's something that happened. Yeah, it was probably not so good, but forgiving is not forgiving that person, but it's forgiving that situation, as in like, it's for you. The forgiveness is for you, not for them. It's like releasing it. So that way you're not like carrying it with you, because when you continue to recall these things that happen to us over and over, just like, it really can affect our energy and drain us. of our energy, because that's a thought that we're like being attached to. But the moment we work on that forgiveness, forgiving that, like I said, not the person, because like sometimes that's not easy to forgive that person. And I get that, but it's forgiving for you so that you don't have to suffer anymore from reliving that over and over and over. So that's so important, is the forgiveness in that whole thing, and
Are
forgiving
there
yourself.
like particular steps or techniques to forgiving? Because, like I feel like some people, because I'm some people, when you think of forgiveness, you think of just like letting them get away with it, right? Or you just have to stop caring. And, or you put up a barrier and shut them out. Like what are the steps to even get to forgiveness?
Yeah. So I learned this through pranic healing, and there was this, like, it's called a forgiveness technique. And it's kind of like also a script, which I had to do several times with the people that have hurt me. But it's something that you don't have to do with them face to face,
Sure.
Okay.
but we're kind of like working to forgive them on a soul level, meaning like now we have an awareness that souls are all evolving and growing. And part of growing and evolving includes making mistakes. And we make mistakes too. So it's kind of like just an awareness that we all make mistakes, and that, we're all still growing and evolving. And then just really like, yeah, it comes back to that one thing I mentioned earlier about we're doing the best with our level of awareness that we have. So like I had to forgive a lot of older people that done things to me when I was younger, because that's all they knew. And so like I had to release that. And when I did release it, it was such a huge unloading of like weight.
Yeah.
And so many things began to open up from that. So like it's just like, I guess when it's a you're ready type of thing too, like to finally face that, because it's not easy.
Did
But
you
yeah.
feel though, like when you were trying to, I guess, almost mentally put yourself in the other person's shoes, right? To realize that they didn't know what they didn't know. Did you have to feel like they were at least trying at some stage of their life to be better, to be able to forgive them? Or did how were you able to relinquish that as well then, if they were still the same exact person today as they were then and you're trying to forgive them or the action or, situation?
Yeah, that's a interesting one, because for me, some of the people that did that passed on already. And so
Mhm.
like I was holding on to something beyond, they're not even here anymore. So that's me, that's my doing there. So I released that. But for someone that's like around you who still hasn't fully changed, that's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, we can't always be the judge of who needs to change or how someone needs to change. It has to be on their personal soul journey. But, like, I think about that when I think about forgiveness. Like, I think some people might feel like, well, I'm not going to forgive them because they're still not even trying to be a better person.
Mm,
You know what I mean? And so that would be a barrier I could see some people might struggle with.
yeah. And I think for self love and self like awareness, like if that is the case, and let's say, you have to kind of set a standard to, if you're going to still be around that and accept
Hmm.
it. Sometimes that might be hard because it might be like your mother or your father or your brother or something. But I like what my mentor said, Bob. He like you can still see them, just don't visit as often and don't stay as long. And it's just that helped me a lot, like, so I just wasn't too engulfed in that, and when you allow that separation to happen, um sometimes they do change, or sometimes they stay the same, but they're not affecting you anymore because
Hmm.
not in there. You're kind of, yeah, I don't know if that
Yeah,
makes
having that boundary gives you the space to
sense.
grow.
Yes, the boundaries is huge.
In exploring forgiveness, I've been trying to practice this question of what does the emotion that I'm holding on to, how does it serve me? Because
Mm.
I could sit here with a grudge or with anger towards someone in my family,
Mhm.
whoever, someone close to me, and it's burning me up inside. It's eating me up, whatever that, area is that needs that extra attention and forgiveness. And I'm saying to myself, how does it holding on to this help me, because it's not going to change the person. The grudge, the anger, whatever the feeling you have is not going to inherently change anyone. That's a them situation, right? And all you have is what's in you. I'm really working through that question as I kind of work through my feelings with people, or certain, close members that I just don't want to, that I want to address, but I also want to look out for my peace as well and make sure that, I'm on that path for myself.
I understand.
Yeah,
Thank you for that. Say that question one more time so all of our listeners can hear it, because I think when we are struggling with forgiveness, which in my opinion can be a very big struggle, that question you just asked really helps to like clear the fog.
sure. So how
Mm,
does holding on to the anger, grudge, resentment serve me? How does that
mm,
serve me? And journal about it. And that's going to be a brain dump for me. I'm going to sit back,
Yeah.
and because I think about it often, and I say, I'm holding on to this and I'm saying the same story over and over. This person wronged me and they wronged me and it's the same story, no resolution. And it
Mm.
can go on for years and years and years, and it just eats away at you. So,
mm,
well, how do you change that? How do you reverse that? And I say, okay, how does holding on to that anger help me? And you
mm.
realize, that's just energy that could be for something else. You could make space for other things when you make space there, at least starting there.
Yeah. My one teacher, Grandmaster Chuck Oaks, he said something on that. He's a very direct teacher, and we're all on that same path of like trying to heal from this forgiveness. And he just made an analogy around, would you eat old stale food that's maybe weeks or years long? But that's what you're doing when you hold on to these things. You're eating old, like rotten food, and it's inside. And it's just like, anyway, that was just an analogy that
That's a
stuck
great
with me.
one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like, it really puts it into a different perspective. Like, yeah, we wouldn't do that. We would throw that rice out if it was a month old or something.
And that's the misconception, right? Like they won, right? Or because I forgave them. And there's not, you won. You won. You gave yourself the gift
Uh,
of letting that narrative go, or letting go of that pain,
mm,
or metabolizing it into something else, right? We talked about the energy when you meditate and you give it back to Mother Earth, and it's, some of the negative, heavy energy, but she recycles it and gives you back restorative energy, right? It's the same kind of concept of the situation is still there. It never erases what
mm,
happened, but you've recycled your energy around it. And that energy is going to help fuel you in your self-love journey, because you're also punishing yourself by reliving and reliving. And who knows if that person has that same approach
yeah.
to that circumstance. They may have not
May
even
not.
know that it hurt you in such a way, right? So
Yeah.
you're
Wow.
living this for the rest of your life, taking up so much energy, taking so much space, when you could figure out a way to look at it in a different way.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got chills from that because I just heard a story where this woman who was like this abuser or something did something to her, and it was years long, and she sees him again. And so she confronts him to let him know how much he ruined her life. And then as he heard her, it's like he didn't even know that it affected her that bad. Like, and he like put his hand on her shoulder and said, "I'm sorry that that happened." But like, it took all that, like, so, I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
interesting. Wow.
Yeah. And it also helps me to like take a step and take a breath and realize that my words, or how I navigate my life, and when I have my, outbursts, or whatever it is, right? How that affects other people. And when you're on this journey of just development and looking at the self and forgiving and all of that, all these other things come through and they fall through, and you're saying, wow, I don't want to be on the other side of that. I don't want to be on the side where I've hurt someone and I don't even realize it, and they're begging for my forgiveness, right? So how can I live with integrity and with that, authenticity, so that I can share without it being harmful or hurtful, or, bringing
Mhm.
people down. So it's really powerful.
It is.
See, she's our poetic shifter. How do you want folks to find you and connect with you? How can they learn more about this meditating mechanic?
Well, I mean, I am on Facebook. It's just my first name, last name, Josue Marbach. And mainly just if anyone's looking just to share and maybe they don't have anyone to talk to about things that they got going on in their life, I'm willing to hear and see what I can do to maybe give you something better.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to reach out or speak to somebody about some things. And yes, if it's meditation too, like I'd be glad to do that as well. And sometimes there's always this like invisible block, right? And I specialize in that area of that invisible block. So it just the process of uncovering that is just kind of seeing where you're at and where you really want to go, and then just getting to know you a little bit. And then I can provide some feedback and give you some tips on to where you can kind of try some new things. And usually often you might just find something great in that you didn't think about before. It just helps to have someone on the outside, like look at some of the things. That's if you're open to doing that.
Well, I think it's so generous of you, and just you're so relatable to so many people in the sense of you're
Mm,
not leading with your ego. You
mm,
really are coming with that pink love bubble and just really wanting to support all of those around you. And, I'm going to make sure you'll be on our website under the Grounded Guys. Actually, you already are. And I'll link it to all of your contact information so they can just hit the picture and it'll take them right to you, your Facebook page. I love that you are just a great resource and support for our Grounded Guy fans that listen, even if their wives are making them, and, that they get something out of it because, these shift circles and groups of community are huge. Like you went with Ashton and Adam to that, what was it? The Divine Masculine event at the beach that time,
yeah.
right? And those are so rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great,
So we definitely would love to see our Grounded Guys connect and bond and support. So we thank you for opening yourself up to all of the people that need that. We always pair an oil that goes with the topic of today. And today is pink pepper, which if you guys have never had like pink peppercorns crusted on your steak or anything like that, oh my gosh, they're so delicious. But this is the oil of intrinsic equality. Pink pepper exposes the tendencies of people to compare themselves to others. It challenges individuals to acknowledge their judgments of self and others generated by their comparisons. Pink pepper teaches that comparison never leads to happiness, but rather increases sorrow. Pink pepper energetically assists individuals with taking the middle path of equality found through their own self acceptance. Pink pepper reminds that by being patient, kind, and loving to oneself, individuals can learn to extend the same mercy to those around them, which sounds like the path that you took,
Mm.
right? You literally learned to love yourself and really love those around you even more.
Yeah. I love that, you brought pink peppercorn to the conversation because of the pink light that he put around his family.
True.
So there's this this theme of, the love bubble of pink stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
wow.
my gosh, the
So
love bubble.
Well, it's a self-love talk. So, we
It
got to
is.
put
I
ourselves
love
in
it.
that love bubble.
Oh my gosh. Well, as we wrap up our conversation today, Josue, tell everybody how they can connect with you. We're going to close with a shift activation today and invite you to look in the mirror and write down the first 3 thoughts that come up when you see yourself
Mm,
without editing or filtering them.
mhm.
Just write it down. Then ask yourself which of these thoughts reflect love and which reflect old conditioning or self criticism.
Yes. That's a good one, girl.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
I can see I don't know about this one. I'm going to have to take a weekend.
And I love this because I talk to myself exactly how I talk to everybody.
Mhm.
Like if I'm giving you a pep rally or if I'm giving you the WTF look, like I do all of that same thing for myself, but at the end of the day, want to pump everybody up.
Yep.
So I would love to see that in more people with that self-love. And then we're going to do one more shift activation. And it is, think of one area of your life that has improved because you started treating yourself with more respect, patience, and compassion,
Mm.
and describe what changed, not just externally, but in your energy, as Josue says,
Yeah,
and your relationship.
that's right. And that battery. Yes. Love it.
Well, we have totally enjoyed our conversation with you, Josue. Hearing the guy's perspective of life shifts are incredibly important to us. Everybody has fathers and brothers and husbands and sons, and we want to shift along with you. We want to support you, all the men through their shifts, and we can't do that without knowledge. And by you guys coming here and being vulnerable and sharing what you're carrying silently really helps us to know more of what's going on behind the scenes so we can show up better for you and with you. So we thank you so much.
Thank you, Josue.
Well, remember everyone, we are always here to talk shift with you. Take care.
Ta-ta.
And that's it for today's shift. Thank you so much for sharing this space with us. If you're loving the conversation, become a shifty. Like, follow, subscribe, and most of all, share this episode with someone who's shifting too, or someone who seriously needs to get their shift together.
Do you have thoughts, questions, topic requests, or maybe you're feeling the nudge to collaborate? Visit us at shiftsisterpodcast.com. We'd love to hear from you. We're so grateful for your presence, your friendship, and your willingness to do the work with us. Because shift happens and we're not meant to do it alone.
We'll meet you back here next time to breathe, reflect, and talk shift.